So the Xbox 360 is Microsoft's most successful console, and I think really the last time that it felt like they were really putting effort into the games and the hardware across the board. It is also a console that I did not play until well after its life cycle had ceased. My first experience with Xbox 360 came in 2017 following a promotion from GameStop when there was a Black Friday ad that had listed an Xbox 360 4GB console on sale for free. Essentially, you would buy the console at $59.99 with the cords, the accessories, a controller, and then you could submit for a $60 Visa gift card as a rebate. So essentially making the console free. The console was not, in great shape. It was yellowed. It was in terrible shape, but it did work. And it came with this off-brand controller, which, as you can see, doesn't even have a legit Xbox logo and, barely kind of worked, but it had all the bits that I needed to get started, with the exception of, didn't connect to the internet because it was an original Xbox 360 model, and it was, one of the ones that they had brought back to life with the Red Ring of Death issues. But it has served me well. It still sits in my TV console to this day, and still plays backwards compatible original Xbox games here as well. So kind of wanted to go over what my Xbox 360 collection looks like today, as many of these games I do play on my Series X, if it is backwards compatible with that system, as well as if it's not, I still use that OG Xbox 360 that released all the way back in 2005. My model, I believe, is either a 2007 or a 2008 version, and I also use this to play my original Xbox games. So without further ado, let's get into the games collection. All right, so starting off here, we do have a copy of 007 Legends. This is complete in box. I have spent a little bit of time with this game, not too much in total, but I picked this up because I did enjoy the 007 GoldenEye remake on the Wii, believe it or not, back in the day. It's not a fantastic game, but it's not something where I was having a bad time with it. This is basically just a Call of Duty ripoff with a James Bond skin, at least of what I have played thus far, but hoping to wrap that up at some point. Interestingly enough, not backwards compatible, so you have to play this on original hardware. Really feels like it should have gotten that attention, though, in recent years. Alone in the Dark, have not gotten a chance to play this one, or any of the subsequent Alone in the Dark reboot attempts or anything like that, but this was a pretty quick pickup for, I think, $2 at a local game store recently. Alpha Protocol, I remember picking up when it was originally delisted from digital marketplaces, before the price shot up, and then was all over the place. Luckily, it is once again available digitally. It is a little bit of a hidden gem in that it has some truly terrible gameplay elements, but some truly interesting narrative elements to it. I won't say much more than that, but it is an Obsidian Entertainment RPG. This is my copy of Borderlands Game of the Year Edition, but if I am correct, this is incomplete, and yes, it is. I just have the DLC for this. I picked this up as part of a game lot from Facebook Marketplace. It had like 25 games in it for like $10, so this one was a little bit incomplete, so I'm still looking for that original Borderlands Game of the Year disc to complete this, and I'm sure I will get that one day just from buying a bunch of random lots. But right now, the case and everything else was in pretty decent condition, so it'll sit until I can grab that disc loose somewhere. Call of Duty 3 Platinum Hits. This one is also complete, and I think I have the bonus disc, yes, and then the original receipt that I had from GameStop, yes. Let's see, what did I pay for this one? It says $0, discount $9.99. So I don't think I paid anything for this, which is interesting. Must have been a buy two, get one free promotion. So effectively, $6, $6.50 or so for that, because I bought two other games for $10, and then this was the free game. So there we go. We have Condemned Criminal Origins, and then Condemned 2 Bloodshot, which I have not gotten the chance to play as of yet, but anytime I can get some horror games on console, always going to take the opportunity to do so. Next up is the Call of Duty Black Ops collection. This is Black Ops 1, 2, and 3. No need for me to play Black Ops 3 on the 360, given the state of that port. But it is lovely to have the original Black Ops and Black Ops 2 on here, especially because they are backwards compatible with Series X. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, of course. Chrome Hounds, which was a pickup at a game store in Savannah, Georgia. I think I ended up getting this not for $8, but for like $4 with a sale that they were having. It just looks interesting to me. I had no idea really what it was aside from like a mech looking shooter game. So I'm interested to check that out one day. Crackdown, I have had for quite some time. This I got and picked up pretty soon after I got the 360. I think I saw it in like a bargain bin for $1. And this is a pretty nice, pretty pristine copy of Crackdown with all of the original goodies and everything like that. Plays pretty well. Obviously disappointed in how Crackdown 3 turned out, which is the most recent Crackdown release. But it's nice to kind of go back and actually play some of these originals. Kind of how I feel about the Saints Row series as well. But cool to have an original copy of that. Cordyceps Saga. Now this game really shot up in value when the 360 store was shutting down, because this is exclusive to the Xbox 360. My copy is not perfect. It is unfortunately just the disc in the case. Let's take a look at what I paid for it here. I think I paid $40 because they had to do a disc resurfacing. But I remember at the time this was going for like $80 or $90. I think it has come down considerably since then. But this is essentially a like board game style or Monopoly style RPG mixed in with some JRPG elements. So really unique concept. Really rare kind of game on the 360. Didn't sell super well, but super happy to have that as part of the collection. Damnation, which is a shooter by Codemasters, which I thought was super interesting because Codemasters I know mainly from racing games, but to see them do a shooter game, just super interesting. So haven't gotten the chance to play that one as of yet, but definitely on the list. Death Smiles, I have played quite a bit of, not entirely on 360, but also on the PC. Really good shmup, side-scrolling in that sense, but this is a really nice complete copy, like very good condition overall. Also comes with the soundtrack CD. Really recommend this one, and really happy to have this on 360. I believe a compilation pack with Death Smiles 1 and 2 is also available on the Switch, and it might also be available on PS4. So if you're looking for a more modern way to play this on modern hardware, that might be a better way to do that on console as well. Eat Lead was another game that I picked up at that store in Savannah, Georgia. Kind of went a little bit crazy there with some obscure 360 games. At that time in 2024 was when that 360 store closure was happening, and I was just looking to pick up anything that looked interesting to me. This is a copy of Fallout 3 that I remember getting for super cheap. I know obviously you can play this on pretty much anything nowadays, but really wanted a backwards compatible copy that I could just play on the Series X at 4K, 60 FPS, all that stuff. Now that I have a PC that can run it super well, not really worried about that, but still nice to have just a normal Fallout 3 copy. Far Cry 2 was a pretty recent pickup actually in November of 2025. Went to a local game store in Jacksonville, Florida that I used to frequent quite a bit when I lived there, and picked this up I think for like $7. Yeah, so let me verify that for you. Take a look at this receipt. Yep, $6.99. So had a really good time. Shout out to Video Game Rescue, and really enjoyed my time there with their new arcade. But this was a really good pickup, and I always enjoy the Far Cry games. Have yet to play this one as of this moment, but I think this one and the original Far Cry are the only two that I haven't played as of yet. So excited to get around to that one very soon. Final Fantasy 13 and Final Fantasy 13-2 are two Final Fantasy games I have not gotten the chance to play as of yet. I'm kind of waiting until I get Final Fantasy 13 Returns before I even dive into these. But the interesting thing about Final Fantasy 13-2 is that this is a sealed copy that I got from VGP for like $8. This Final Fantasy copy 13, I believe I got from GameStop in just really good condition. It looks like somebody had just traded it in basically and never played it. So, was really stoked to get that for just a few dollars. And then I couldn't pass up a new sealed 360 copy. This is just incredible to see that in that kind of condition. But I have to get Lightning Returns before I really dive into this series. But have a lot of friends who have an opinion that this is the best Final Fantasy game series, so have to give that a shot at some point in the near future here. Moving right along, one of my favorite franchises of all time, Forza Horizon. This was one of the first backwards compatible 360 games that I played on my Xbox One at the time, when that backwards compatibility first came out. And this just changed everything for me about Xbox racing games. I had not played any of the previous Forza Horizons prior to Forza Horizon 3, I think, at the time. Forza Horizon 3 I got with my Xbox One bundle that I had purchased, I think, back in like 2017 or 2016, and had been playing that like crazy across my PC and my console. But just going back to the original here just was kind of mind-blowing, and just seeing where the series started. Still recommend this game today. It's still a really solid fundamental racer, and then just being set in Colorado with the beautiful kind of season changes and the winding hills is really great. I kind of wish we would get these smaller experiences, and I'm really looking forward to the next Forza Horizon set in Japan, but this was just a really, really great and unique experience, and if you can get a physical copy to play it and you haven't done so already, definitely recommend you do so. Frontlines Fuel of War. This is not a great game, but I did pick it up for like, I think $2 or $3 and played it for a couple of hours. It's fine. I get what they were going for. They're trying to go for that future military kind of strategy game mystique thing. And apparently there was some kind of multiplayer element to it back in the day, but that's not what I got to experience. And it was just fine when I got to play it. Gears of War Judgment, arguably the, worst Gears of War game on the 360. I don't even think you have to make an argument about that. It was the worst Gears of War game on the 360, but it's still a Gears of War game, so I still enjoyed my time with it. And it came with the original Gears of War for the 360 when I had this copy new. So it was a good time, but not something I will probably ever go back and replay. Moving right along here, we do have a Steelbook copy of Grand Theft Auto 5. I believe I picked this up at GameStop for just a couple of bucks, mainly just for the fact that it was a Steelbook copy that had the map and all of the goodies in it. Obviously, you can play Grand Theft Auto 5 on literally everything nowadays, and we're kind of just counting down the days until Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out. But it was really interesting to see a Steelbook for this, because I'm pretty sure you can only get this in some of the special editions, and somebody had just traded in their Steelbook copy. So I thought that was interesting, just a little piece of history to have, since it's a game that I've put literally thousands of hours into. Halo Reach, again, was just a buck or so when I picked it up, just the disc and the case. I think it was part of a bundle of a bunch of games anyway, so not going to say no to that. The original Homefront is a really interesting first-person shooter. Definitely not perfect, but something I think everybody deserves to put some time in and play, at least from a campaign perspective. Obviously, the multiplayer I don't believe is active in any sense anymore, but definitely has a lot of callbacks to some like 80s action movies, and has some interesting lenses on what the 2010s looked like from a standpoint of political intrigue and who narrative directors really thought our American enemies and stuff would be. But definitely the 2016 sequel did not do as unique or interesting things as what we would hope, but this original I think is still worth a try if you haven't played it, and I think it's still available on PC as well. Legendary is another game that I picked up from that store in Savannah when I was on that spree. Again, if you're sensing a theme, it was basically just find every shooter that I could that I had never seen before on the 360 and pick it up. And so that's what I did with that store in Savannah. Magna Carta 2 is another game that was pretty obscure when I had looked it up at the time that the 360 store was closing. I believe I purchased this from Mercari at the time. And if I'm not mistaken, the art director or one of the narrative directors for this ended up going on to be one of the creators of Stellar Blade. and I may be a little bit mistaken on that, but I believe they had some part in creating Stellar Blade. And so you can see a lot of the similar art designs and aesthetics there as well. Have not gotten the chance to play this as of yet, more than the first 45 minutes or so, but definitely excited to dive into this one day soon. Medal of Honor Warfighter is another mindless first-person shooter that EA kind of pushed out in between Battlefields during the 360 and PS3 era. I played a few hours of this, and that's really all I think I will play of it. It's nice to have these campaigns available because I do like going back and kind of looking at how far we've come in terms of first-person shooter design. But this was definitely not a shining example of what the 2010s was able to produce in terms of first-person design. A more recent pickup for me has been the Metal Gear Solid HD collection. Now, I do have a lot of these games as part of the Metal Gear Solid, I guess it's the HD collection or whatever the recent, modern PS5, Xbox Series, PC release, and even on Switch release of some of these games. But some of these games weren't featured, like I believe Peace Walker wasn't part of that collection. And then Metal Gear Solid 1 is not available on this collection as well. But this was part of that big Facebook lot that I've alluded to, where I just paid $10 and this guy had 25 games, but I only had disc 2 as part of this. So I paid, I think like $15 on Mercari to get disc 1 as part of this. So I could just have the complete copy. This goes for about 35 or 40 bucks still for a 360 game, which is, pretty high up there. But happy to have this finally complete in the collection. Mortal Kombat Complete Edition is backwards compatible on the original, on the Xbox Series X, excuse me. And a thing about the Mortal Kombat Complete Edition, each version or each console version has their own exclusive fighters. So the PS3 version has Kratos, and then I believe this version has, I think, Freddy Krueger, or it may have some additional characters that are exclusive to the 360 version. So each version has its own oddities and intricacies to it. So there's a reason to kind of pick up each version, which is how things used to be in the 360 and PS3 era. I'm not saying that's better, but it's how things used to be, and it used to be motivation for you to pick up the games for one system over the other. So I thought that was interesting to have. So I have a copy of this on PS3 and on 360 because there is different content across each of them. MX versus ATV Untamed. I feel like it's kind of essential to, at least once a generation, have an ATV game, just going all the way back to the kind of Unleashed games on the PS2. Had a ton of fun with those, and this is mine for the 360 era. Need for Speed Carbon Collector's Edition. I ended up seeing this in a GameStop for like $5, randomly walking in one day. And I was like, okay, I have no idea what the collector's edition entails, but it's $5, which is the cost of the normal game. And I would pick up the normal game for $5 anyway, so absolutely I'll try that out. So this comes with like a bonus DVD that I still have yet to check out with. It comes with a slipcover. It's just an interesting alternate cover and sleeve as well. It doesn't come with any of the DLC, obviously, because, that's kind of long past. But it says, DVD bonus features, 5 featurettes take you behind the scenes, a remix project, and then the Need for Speed Carbon movie trailer, which is crazy. But I just think this is neat. Obviously I wasn't able to play this back in the day when it first came out, but I think it's super interesting to have this now, and especially at that price, I'm absolutely not going to say no to it. All right, moving on to kind of our final stack here, continuing with the Need for Speed games. Need for Speed Most Wanted, which I believe is the most expensive Need for Speed game that you can get on the 360. I believe this is sitting somewhere around the $70 to $80 mark. I come across these games pretty often nowadays. This was a launch game for the 360. This is a fantastic game. It is hard to come by in decent condition just because of how old it is and kind of how desirable it is. All racing games over time, for the most part, unless they have their own licensing, they do their own music, will be delisted. Games with licensed cars will always be delisted after a certain amount of time, and this one is no exception. The only way to play this game legally, per se, is to get a physical copy of this. And the 360 version, I would say, is the most desirable one because it has the most up-to-date graphics. it plays the best, I think, out of some of the consoles that it came out on. So when you're talking about the original Xbox, the PS2, the 360, I just think this is the best version to get, which is why the price is reflective of that. So I'll come across this a few times in collections, and so I'll just compare it to this copy and see which disc is in better condition. Do I see any signs of wear on my current copy versus the copy I'm picking up? But I will always have a copy of this in my rotation. This is a fantastic game. NHL 12, I have no reason to really have this in the collection. This was part of that big Facebook lot. The only reason I have this in my collection is I'm a Tampa Bay Lightning fan. Steven Stamkos was the captain of the Tampa Bay Lightning for something like 20, 21 years. So it's really cool to have a copy of the game with him on it, front and back. And I do like the NHL games. They are pretty fun to play overall, but really I only have it because, the team that I've liked for, 20 plus years has them on the cover and Steven Stamkos on the cover. So that's really the only reason I kept this instead of just tossing it in the bin. Peter Jackson's King Kong is another deceptively highly priced Xbox 360 game. I ended up picking this up at GameStop for like $8 like 5-6 years ago, back before it really had climbed up in price. I think this is coming close to like $60 now. Now my copy is a bit damaged. I think there's some water damage on this inner kind of cover art, as well as the case overall, but the disc works fine, which is all I really care about. And it looks fine when it's facing up on the shelf. But I don't know why this is as expensive as it is. It's a fine game. It's a fine first-person shooter game, but it's only like 4 hours. So it's nothing, crazy spectacular. It's interesting that Ubisoft made it. I think it's very odd overall, but definitely something that is interesting for what it is, but definitely not worth a $60 or $70 price tag if you're, looking out for it. Another kind of weirdly priced one, Pinball Hall of Fame. Now, I think the reason why this is weirdly priced is, one, pinball games never really sell super well. I know that just historically speaking, it's kind of a niche audience to play pinball games on console. And number two, pinball games also, like racing games, get delisted pretty often due to licensed tables. So Williams Collection, this did not stay obviously online after the 360 store closed. And depending on what's in the collection here, some of these tables may not be available in any other pinball game. So I don't know the full historical background of this particular pinball game, but generally speaking, that's why pinball games on consoles in general seem to go up in value. This one, I think when I bought it, was something like 30 or 40 bucks. I think this game now hovers around the $50 mark complete, but I haven't checked in on it in a little bit of time, so it could have fluctuated a little bit since then. But generally speaking, if you see a pinball game and you're interested in pinball game and you can get it below MSRP, probably a safe bet. A game nowhere close in value to that pinball game would be Pocket Bike Racer, which is one of the Burger King games that was given out back in, I think, 2004, 2005. They played on both the original Xbox and 360. There were 3 of them. So Pocket Bike Racer is one of them. Sneak King is another. And I believe there's a third that I don't own. But I have this and Sneak King, which you will see a little bit later. I picked up both of these for, kind of dirt cheap. Let's see here. This was probably like $1 or $1.99 if this has the receipt on it. Pocket Bike Racer, $1.99. So yeah, there we go. Not much at all for a pretty clean copy of Pocket Bike Racer, even at the peak of what 360 games were costing in that hysteria. Prototype 1 and Prototype 2 on the 360, these have gotten subsequent remasters that go for a decent amount of money on more modern hardware like the Xbox One. But these I basically describe as ripoffs of the Infamous series, if you have played those. They're superhero games, but more like anti-hero superhero games. They're pretty fun overall, but definitely not something I would consider an essential play, especially at 30 or 40 bucks a piece if you're trying to play that more modern version of them on 360 or PS4. So cool to have it on 360, but absolutely not something I would go out of my way to spend that much money on that more modern hardware. Rage is a really interesting one. Rage is also backwards compatible on the Series X. This is the Anarchy edition that just comes with a bunch of extra goodies. This is a 3-disc game, which is crazy for the 360, and a really, really heavy package overall. I have tried to beat this game and play this game, I don't know how many times in my life, probably like 6 or 7. I've enjoyed what I've played thus far, but it always just feels like I hit a wall when I get to a certain point with the vehicle combat and just kind of navigating the world. It just kind of, I run up to a point where I'm just like, this just isn't fun anymore. And so I have the game still, you know, it's part of that Bethesda era that just felt like it was overly clunky. So, you know, you may enjoy it if you haven't played it before, but it's just, you know, it's fine. It's an okay game. Rainbow Six Vegas, have not played a ton of this one as of yet. Ridge Racer 6 was a pickup I was really excited to get. I have played a decent amount of this thus far. Again, really like just getting, you know, delisted racing games because there's not really any other way to play them on console. And this was one, obviously it's Ridge Racer, so, you know, it's a pretty storied franchise. So was happy to have this on 360 and got this, I think, on Mercari for a pretty decent price. Sacred 2, there is now a remaster of this that is the physical copy Amazon exclusive for Series X and PS5 that you can get. But I have a 360 copy that did not want to open, that's in somewhat terrible condition. So maybe I will upgrade this copy soon now that there is a remaster for like 20 bucks or 30 bucks, but it goes on sale for 20 all the time. But this is kind of like an ARPG with a bunch of quests and things like that. But this is not the only way you can play this anymore. So that's the original reason why I picked it up. But now there's a remaster that you can play both digitally and physically, which is what matters to me. Shadowrun, I think, was a couple of dollars for a pickup for me. Don't know a ton about this one, but do want to check it out at some point soon. The Silent Hill HD collection was part of that Facebook pickup for me, and the original reason why I went out for that Facebook pickup, or one of those Facebook pickups, this guy was selling this and, you know, 20 other games for $10, and I was like, Silent Hill alone, the HD collection was worth that much. I think this goes for like 35 to 40 bucks now complete. So went out there and he was totally fine not haggling for the $10 price. Picked this up and felt like I was getting away with robbery because he was just, you know, 5-10 minutes away from me. So was super, super, super excited to add this to the collection. Skate 3, not much I have to say about this one. This is a classic, absolutely essential if you have a 360 or a PS3 or even PC. If you haven't played this one before, absolutely pick it up. It goes on sale all the time. If you can get it for 15, 20 bucks even, it's absolutely worth your time. 100% an absolutely fun time. The much alluded to Sneak King, another one of those Burger King games. I think I got this for like $1 at a used game store. And yeah, it's Sneak King. Not much more to say about that one. Split Second, I believe I also have on PC. Weirdest publishing ever, published by Disney. It's like an action movie racing game. It's super weird overall, but it's a really good racer from what I have played. I have not completed it as of this point. Rest in peace, BlackRock. I believe they are no longer around, but a super, super interesting concept overall, and just something that we don't get anymore in the modern era, the experimental racing game from major studios. Star Ocean: The Last Hope is a game that I have not gotten a chance to dabble into yet. I do love all the Star Ocean games that I have played as of yet, but I did not even know that there was a Star Ocean game on the 360 until I came across this in a store one day. So I was happy to pick this up, and this is a hefty, hefty game with a hefty manual that is complete in color. It has multiple discs to it. I think this may also be a 3 or 4 discer, which is crazy. Is this a 4-disc game? Or am I going nuts? Let's see here. Let me not. No, okay, 3-disc game. All right, I thought I was going to go crazy for a second here. But no, there's a 3-disc game. I think there's only one 4-disc game that I no longer have in my collection. That would be Lost Odyssey. But that is a hefty, hefty package there. Stuntman Ignition. Am I confusing these two? Split Second and Stuntman Ignition. One of these is a movie set. No, this is the stunt one. And then this is... No, TV show. So they're pretty close. I always did get these two confused. But again, another unique racing game concept. Again, we just don't get them like we used to anymore. But now I'm making myself look like a fool, not knowing the difference between the 2 racing games that start with the letter S. It is what it is. The Club, I believe, was another pickup from that game store, Planet Fun in Savannah, Georgia. This looked interesting enough to me. Again, it was another shooter game that I could pick up, and so that was enough for me to pick up during that kind of spree of 2024 when the store was about to close. The Darkness is a first-person shooter that I absolutely recommend, and The Darkness 2, if you can get your hands on it as well. Super unique take on first-person shooters with some, kind of dark elements. There's some Mafia vibes in it too. Won't say much more than that, but absolutely give these games a chance if you get your hands on them. Time Shift, I have not gotten a chance to play, but again, another first-person shooter in the 360 era. 360 era, excuse me. 360 was known for first-person shooters and racers, not all of them good. Haven't heard a ton about this one overall. I know it's not a super great example on the 360, but something I will definitely get around to sooner rather than later. Splinter Cell Blacklist, which I have heard great things about, but have not gotten a chance to play as of yet. Top Spin 2, which I bought literally just to be a spare case for another game, and so the spare case for that other game was used, and then this broken one was swapped out for Top Spin 2. UFC 2010 was another throwaway game as part of a Facebook lot. War Tech I picked up in Savannah at another game store. It looked really unique. I had never heard of this one before. I know it's like kind of a space shooter looking game. This one is complete in box. I have not gotten a chance to play this one as of yet. But again, just another weird Ubisoft published game that I had never heard of up to that point. One I had heard up to that point had been Watch Dogs. I had played Watch Dogs 2 and Watch Dogs Legion, but I had never played the original. So having that on the original 360 sounded intriguing, and I believe I picked this up for like $1 or so as part of a lot, so not too bad at all. We have Vin Diesel Wheelman, which I did not get to experience during its heyday back in the day, but I have heard good and interesting things. And then rounding out the last of my 360 games was another disc swap game, which was World Series of Poker Tournament of Champions 2007 edition, complete of course, because why not? And then just to lump it in with the 360 games, I have a very small original Xbox collection, so I'll just briefly go over some of those because I do play those on the 360. I don't have an original Xbox, so it kind of just makes sense to include them here. So I do have a copy of 007 Nightfire. This is complete in box. A copy of Blinks the Time Sweeper, which I have played a little bit of and have enjoyed what I played so far. It's just a super weird and interesting game, and I do wish we got more that were weird like this more often. Crash Bandicoot, The Wrath of Cortex, which I played on the PS2 I don't know how many times over and over as a kid when I was growing up at my grandparents' house. I would just bring this game to replay over and over again whenever we were staying at their place. So I have fond memories of this one, as well as Crash Twinsanity, which I think has one of the best cover arts of this entire era. On the PS2, it already looks great, but with the green of the original Xbox, I think the cover art just stands out even more. So absolutely love that game. Crimson Skies High Road to Revenge was one of the original Xbox games to be backwards compatible on the Series X and Xbox One. So was excited to pick that up when that was first announced. Ghost Recon 2 2011 Final Assault. I literally only picked up when I first saw it in a game store because it said 2011 Final Assault, and I thought that was really funny how that was supposed to be future dated, and I think at the time that I had picked it up, it was something like 10 years past that point, so I thought that was really funny. Everyone has to have an original copy of Halo if they have any kind of original Xbox collection. I think that's kind of just required and mandated. I don't make the rules, I kind of just follow them. This is a copy of Sega GT 2002 with Jet Set Radio Future. I did get this copy from my wife's father. He just had a set of original Xbox games lying around. And so he had just handed those over to me. We have a copy of Test Drive Eve of Destruction. Unfortunately, this is just the case and the insert. I don't yet have the disc. I got this as part of a bundle. Thought this was included with the disc. You know, it had been one of those Facebook Marketplace listings, and then the disc didn't end up being inside when I took it home. So that was a little bit disappointing. So I'm searching for a decently priced disc copy. So if anyone is aware of a good priced Test Drive Eve of Destruction, I would love to have this game. So please do let me know. Splinter Cell Chaos Theory is our next to last original Xbox game. And then a dual copy of Star Wars The Clone Wars, and Tetris Worlds is the final one to round us out. So overall, a pretty decent sized collection for the 360 and the original Xbox. I do enjoy my time with the original Xbox games as well as the 360 games. Most of the time I am playing them on Series X, if I'm being fully transparent. I want to play them in the highest fidelity possible, but when they're locked to that console, I'll be picking up my 360 controller, whether it's the original 360 controller or, you know, a janky third-party controller that GameStop sells to me, and doing my best with what we got here. But I appreciate your support on all of these collection videos. I have some PS5, PS4, Switch, Xbox One and Series videos. If you haven't seen them already, please do check out the channel. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, as it really does help support the channel, and subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a comment if you've seen any of the games here that you are interested in, or if you have any suggestions on what I should add to my collection. I'm always growing specific parts of my collection, like the 360, with new and interesting games I've never even heard of, because I am really late to the game on the 360. Again, really appreciate your support, and have a great rest of your day.